All right, guys. Our next guest is the real-life Karate Kid himself. He has the death touch in his feet and obviously owns a nice collection of highlight reel knockouts. He is one of the nicest guys in MMA, former title challenger, and now he takes on Darren Till in the main event of UFC Liverpool on May 27th. Very excited to be chatting to him again. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, welcome back to Submission Radio. How are you, man?
Oh, man, feeling great, man, and I appreciate you guys having me back on. I always love chatting with you.
You say that to all the Australian podcasts you come on. Now, let's get to the biggest question first, because we have to get to the bottom. If you've gotten back at Stipe Miocic after that nose tweak at the UFC 25 anniversary press conference, talk us through this.
He got me good. Okay, so Stipe, he's a good buddy of mine. Those guys in Long Island, Chris Weidman, John Vellante, they all, pretty close relationships. So Stipe, he's like a big kid, man. He's a big kid, and He did. He got me with the old poo stash. While I was up on stage, I'm sitting there trying to pose for these cameras, and he comes across and gets me. And I'm thinking in my head, like, I pray that nobody got that. Obviously, that wasn't happening. And then as soon as I said, I think it was the day after, I was like, man, I hope nobody got that, man. As soon as I got on Instagram, somebody had put it to music. So I had to repost it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, you look like you had fire in your eyes when that happened. You're like, oh, son of a bitch, he got me. What was the retaliation like? Have you planned your attack?
You know what? I haven't planned it yet, but I'm going to try and involve Chris on something. We're going to get him back somehow. Somehow, I'm going to need Chris's help though. You know what I mean? Because Stipe's a big guy. So if he gets a hold of me, then I'll probably die slowly and painfully. So I'm gonna need some distraction. So me and Chris, we're gonna come up with something and try and get him back. I don't know what yet. Maybe you guys can give me some ideas.
It's gonna be something physical, right? The way you describe it, he's a big guy. You need Chris's help. It's gonna be something physical. This prank.
We got to. I got to. I guess you can call it physical when he rubs his finger across my nose. Thank goodness it didn't smell bad. You know what I mean? I'm the oldest boy, but I got two brothers, and you know how those things can go sometimes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Someone's going to die. And what I was going to say was, if you check out Home Alone 1 or 2,
yes,
there's probably some good pranks for you and Chris to play on poor Stipe. And the best time to do it is during fight week ahead of UFC 226. So that's so exactly. I think you have a long time to plan this and a good timing to do it. Darren Till was, of course, absent from the press conference. What was it like doing the press conference by yourself without a dance partner? Did you find that a little bit strange?
Yeah, that was the first press conference I had without my opponent there, which I heard he had a family member. I think it was his honey, wife or girlfriend that was sick. So I hope everything's okay with her. But he sends his apologies to the UFC and myself that he wasn't able to be there. But I felt it kind of lonely, to be honest with you.
Oh, lonely.
Lonely.
Did you practice doing stare downs in the mirror by yourself?
Yeah, I know. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. Like, everybody's out there, facing off with his opponent. I mean, was I, hopefully supposed to face off and have those guys Photoshop him in or something? So, I don't know. I just kind of smiled at everybody. It was kind of awkward. It was a little weird, but we made it happen.
Were you looking forward to that stare down? Like, I don't know if I think a lot of fighters just see it as a formality, but I know some fighters, they kind of look to try and gauge their opponent, maybe take something away from it. Were you looking forward to squaring off with Darren? And have you ever taken anything away from a stare down in the past?
Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, you can learn a lot about somebody just by looking at them, their whole demeanors, the way they walk, what kind of athlete they are. I like to see my opponent and just kind of see how they move, what their whole demeanor's like during, press conferences. You can learn some things, but I like to see my opponent just to see the size, maybe get a good look at them before I walk away. That gives me something to picture when I'm back home training. I was looking forward to it, but at the same time, it made the press conference a little bit easier. But I did feel a little lonely, especially when you had Usman and Colby Covington going at it back and forth, and RDA. You had some pretty good firebacks between those guys, and I was just kind of sitting there, and enjoying everything.
Yeah, so you should try to trash talk yourself. That's the best way of winning these kinds of exchanges.
just trash talk myself.
Did you actually want to trash talk? Because I feel like you're the kind of guy who kind of, you're always a nice guy. You don't really trash talk. And, Colby and Usman, that was obviously like, many levels above. Would you have been, I guess, trash talking with Darren if the opportunity came?
I don't know, man. I've always been respectful of my opponents. And to be honest with you, I don't know Darren Till that well. I feel like Colby Covington and Usman, they live like 20 minutes apart. I think they did train with each other before. So they have some ammo to kind of fire at each other, Like I had zero ammo. I didn't have anything. And me and Tyron, we kind of walked around the same circles and ran into each other a little bit. So we had a little bit of something there, but nothing much, Definitely Usman and Colby Covington had some serious ammo because they live like 20 minutes apart. And in the back, I don't know if you saw my Snap story, my Instagram story, excuse me. Man, they were talking some trash in the back before they walked out. Usman was all over Colby Covington. It was hilarious.
So who do you think won that exchange? Yeah, who won it? That was going to be my question as well.
Oh, Usman won it. Usman won it, man. He's sitting there talking all kinds of trash. Oh, you going to say stuff on Instagram, huh? You going to say stuff on social media? And literally Colby Covington was just looking at his phone like, I don't hear you. Like, what's going on right now? He didn't acknowledge him at all. I was like, what? To be able to talk that much trash on social media, you should be able to, especially face-to-face, say something.
It's funny because you might end up facing one of these guys soon. So I'm looking forward to a Stephen Thompson, possible Colby Covington build up to a fight. It'll be two sides of the coin for sure.
Yeah.
But let's quickly talk about this Darren Till fight because it was rumored for a long time and people thought you were going to be possibly fighting some other names, guys like RDA or Robbie Lawler. Tell us, how did you end up with Till in the main event of Liverpool? How did it all sort of come together in the end?
Well, actually, I was approached about Darren Till pretty much directly after my Masvidal fight. And I turned it down because I ended up injuring my thumbs. And at the time, I wasn't sure what the whole extent of my injury was. I didn't know that they were broken or I had a torn ligament. It seemed too soon of when they wanted me to face them. And to be honest with you, at the time, I didn't really know who Darren Till was till after the Cerrone fight. So I'm like, no, there's a lot of guys that I think I would like to be facing off, instead of Darren Till, who's ranked number 7. I really tried to push for that RDA fight. I remember Robbie Lawler was out for a little while, and I kind of wanted to see where the welterweight division was going. Who was going to be facing Tyron Woodley next? There was rumor of an interim title, and I didn't know if I was going to be at the top of the list of that or not.
When did you first hear about those rumors, the interim belt?
It was probably like 4 weeks after my last fight. I mean, just people talking on social media. People talking just through the UFC and things like that. You kind of pick up stuff here and there. So there was rumor because I knew Tyron had an injured shoulder. He had surgery on it. Everybody, they weren't really knowing when he was going to come back. So usually when there's an injured champion, they would have an interim title. So I kind of wanted to see where that was going. Obviously, I didn't get that, and I do want to stay busy. And this kind of gives me a chance to, test myself against what everybody's calling these new guys coming up. The next generation of fighters. I get to test myself against these guys, and to be honest with you, I've never been to Liverpool. I think it's going to be cool. I know I'm going to enemy territory. It's not the first time I've been in enemy territory, but I hear the Liverpool fans are really passionate about their fighters, about this sport. So it's going to be a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're sort of okay to go to Liverpool and fight him in his backyard because, he, like you mentioned, he's ranked number 7. He's on the way up. He's a huge prospect, new kid on the block. The UFC obviously are trying to push him and sort of get around him. And you're kind of the guy making the trip over to where he's comfortable. Are you okay with that? And do you at all get the sense that the UFC are kind of trying to push him by using your name and sort of trying to, build him up, in this fight, sort of centering the whole event around him?
Yeah, I'm okay going over there to Liverpool. I mean, when I was first approached about going over there, I'm like, wait, really? That's like fighting for the title and having Tyron Woodley come to my hometown. It's like, this guy's ranked number 7. Why am I fighting this guy in his hometown? But then again, I'm a fighter. I'm ranked number 1. Let's go there, man. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat him in his hometown. And it really doesn't bother me much. I know that there's going to be a lot of fans there talking a lot of crap, and that stuff never really bothers me.
You'll be the
that
bad
much.
guy for the first time in your career, probably the first time in your life. This is going to be so weird for you.
Nicest bad guy in UFC history.
Yeah.
And it puts a smile on my face, the fact that, hey, I'm really not a bad guy, but I'm going to be a bad guy this time.
Yeah.
I'm going into enemy territory. Everybody's going to be like booing me and crap, and it's funny. It's going to be a pretty cool experience. I mean, I can say, 10, 15 years from now that, I went to Liverpool, man, and fought this guy in his hometown and won. So it doesn't bother me, man. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm going to go out there and do what I got to do. And the crap talk never really bothers me that much. I mean, I know if I fought in enemy territory before, I guess you can call it that. I fought, Rory McDonald in Canada, but
the Canadians are nice.
The fans are going to be on another level. The fans are going to be on another level in Liverpool. And I think that, we're not really sure where Bisping's going. And I don't know if the UFC is trying to find another guy to promote from the UK. And, Darren Till, he does, like, he talks, he backs it up, and he's an awesome athlete. So it's kind of understandable that they're going to be pushing Darren Till. Is it smart to have them pushing against somebody like, against me? I don't think so. I don't think that's a smart plan. And
you reckon they've made a bit of a mistake, sort of matching him up against you?
Yeah, well, it really goes on how, I think if I say something now, or if I answer that now, I think it would be too soon. I think if we go out there and if he goes out there and puts on a show, then I think it will be okay. But if I go out there and finish him in the first or second round, I think it wouldn't be a good idea. But I mean, everybody in the UFC has the potential to beat you. It doesn't matter if they just got to the UFC or if they've been there, and they're in the top 5. Everybody has the opportunity to put you out, to put you away. So, me going out there to Liverpool, I'm not taking this guy lightly one bit at all. I'm training as if I'm fighting for the title against Darren Till, and I don't like predicting knockouts. I just don't do it. I go out there and let it happen. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm ready for a war. I'm ready. My cardio is on point. I am ready to go out there and just go nonstop for 5-minute rounds. And that's what gives me the confidence to go out there and just do work,
You spoke about his striking. Obviously, both of you guys are really good strikers, but you mentioned recently that you weren't all that impressed by his striking. Can you kind of talk to us about what you think about his striking when you've seen some of his fights? How do you kind of rate it compared to yours?
Well, compared to mine, I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I think I've faced better strikers. Yes. Darren Till.
Just to give an example, because I know people are going to say, well, which striker are you talking about? Who would you say is a better striker than Darren Till that you faced?
Oh, man, I think Rory McDonald's a great striker. I think George Masvidal is an excellent striker. He also put Cerrone out in the first round, knocked him out. I think he knocked out Cerrone, and then Darren Till knocked out Cerrone. Cerrone was on a 3-fight losing streak, I believe, and I think his last opponent was Masvidal before he faced Till. He goes out, he predominantly keeps his right side forward. He's got a mean left hand. He throws his left kick, likes to throw a left elbow. And that's I think that's it. He's, I think, kind of predictable. I think him coming out there, he may have a few tricks up his sleeves, but whenever you're pushed, whenever you're pressured, you always go back to the way you usually fight. I remember Johnny Hendricks coming out there saying he's got something new, but whenever he was pressured, he went back to his old self, and that's what made it easy.
Would it surprise you then that he sort of believes that, on fight night, you'll see that you're not on his caliber? That's sort of his thoughts. And do you think maybe he's underestimating you a little bit?
I think so. I think so. And I don't mind that at all. I don't mind those guys going out there and underestimating me. Is he confident? Yes. And do you have to have confidence in this sport? Definitely. But you do kind of have a sense of little overconfidence when it comes to Darren Till. And don't underestimate me. I tell you that. Just don't underestimate me. You've seen that happen in the past, and it doesn't go very well. So I hope that he is training as hard as he can. He's going to – I I think he's going to come out very dangerous. I think he's going to pressure. I think he's got to put on a show in front of his people, in front of his hometown. So he's going to be money on that day. So I'm preparing for that. I'm definitely prepared for that.
What do you think is on the line here in this fight? Obviously, it's a huge main event there in Liverpool, but like Casper mentioned, he's not at the top of the rankings in the division. You're ranked right up at the top, but do you believe after this fight you deserve the next logical title match, depending on what happens with this interim title?
Yeah, well, it really depends. I think if I go out there and put on a show, yes, I'll be right. I'll be at the top. I'll be at the top of the list. But it also really depends on who faces Tyron and who wins that fight. I think if Tyron wins, they may have me fight one more time before I face him again.
Would you be open to that, though, fighting once more?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I fight in this game for the honor and the glory, and I'm going to go out there and fight whoever I have to fight. I'm not giving up on that title. And if somebody beats him, I think I'll get that next shot, But I got to go out there and put on a show May 27th, man. He's my next opponent. I'm going to fight him as if he's got the title.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, though, because like we sort of mentioned at the start, you were campaigning for RDA. That's the fight that you really wanted. And now RDA's fighting for the interim belt. I'm just wondering, what do you think about the interim belt being brought in? Because it seems like, Tyron was sort of looking to come back around July, maybe August. Do you think it even sort of really makes sense to have an interim belt, sort of, considering the year that Tyron had, how active he was as champion, and the fact that his return probably isn't really that far off?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it makes sense to be fighting for an interim title if he says he's going to be ready for July or even August. I mean, that's like right around the corner. That'll be here before you know it. So, I mean, why fight for an interim title? To me, I understand if he's out for over a year, then yeah, I think that should happen. But if it's just around the corner, man, just say the winner of that will fight for the title. Why, you don't need an interim title for that. That's just my opinion, and I think the way they're kind of throwing those interim titles out there. Of course, if I was fighting for it, if they had me fighting for it, then I'd be like, heck yeah, I'll fight for the interim title. You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't? But then when you can also say, you can stop and just be like, they're kind of giving them out left and right nowadays. So do you think, I don't know, it just it may kind of diminishes the value of the actual title,
It can be a bit confusing, especially with so many interim titles around. And I almost feel like they're doing this just to make sure that Tyron Woodley defends his title belt against one of those two guys. But speaking of that fight, who do you think is going to win between RDA and Covington?
Oh, man. To be honest with you, the way RDA has been rocking, I would love to see RDA come out with the win, man. I would love to see him fight Tyron. Colby Covington, I mean, he's a good wrestler, yes, but it's kind of not a very exciting fighter. I mean, Daniel Maia, who's known for his jiu-jitsu, was tearing him up in the first round with his striking, with his hands. Rocked him a few times. Daniel Maia is not a striker, so he tired out after the first. And Colby Covington just kind of had his way. But, with the high-level strikers that are out there in the welterweight division, with the takedown defense they have, RDA's got great takedown defense. I think Colby Covington is going to be in for a rough night against RDA. And plus, not only that, RDA is determined. And he's from Brazil. He's Brazilian. And the trash talk Colby Covington has been saying about, the Brazilian people, he's going to be in for a rough night. Rough night. To be honest with you, thank goodness that he's not fighting him in RDA in Brazil, because I don't think he would come out of there alive. Now, I mean, either he's just a very, very brave man, to go out there and fight for him, or he's just
crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy, man. Why would you go to Brazil? You would have to have security with you all the time, and if the security was Brazilian, you'd probably end up dying anyway.
That's a very good point. Yeah, have them all in the security squad. Here's this new security guy. He's Brazilian. It's like, all right, can't trust him. But the thing is, like,
I can't trust him. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I feel.
Well, you got to make sure none of your security's from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
You've got a job of your own
I'm
to
gonna
do.
be from Liverpool, bro. But I'm not sitting here talking, crap. I'm not dumb. I'm not that stupid.
Sure.
But and especially what you hear about the Brazilian, who was that? It was a few years ago a soccer referee made a bad call, and they like dismembered him. Like they cut him into pieces, cut his head off.
Jesus. Wow.
I don't know if you heard about it. It was a few years back. I think you can Google it. But they literally cut this guy in pieces for making a bad call.
Oh my God.
In a soccer game. Crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. I think, but just sort of going back to what we were talking about before, I feel like this fight, it's such an interesting matchup as it is. It doesn't need an interim belt. Like, I think people will already be excited about it. Did you hear the rumors? Yeah. Apparently, they were going to give Conor McGregor this interim, or they were thinking about making the interim fight between RDA and Conor McGregor for the interim belt. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. Was this before the Colby Covington? Well, this was announced?
No. Well, yeah, this is before the bus incident, before the whole bus thing. Apparently, Conor McGregor was coming down to discuss contracts. Maybe a new one would be signed, and one of the fights that was being looked at was RDA versus McGregor for the interim belt. How about that?
Wow. No, I didn't think he would actually go. Stay in that weight class. I figured, he was at 170 just to fight another 155er. Really,
sure.
Just at 170, so they both wouldn't have to cut the weight. But man. I think it could happen. I think it would be a good fight, to be honest with you, because RDA's he's not a very big welterweight. He's not. He's not a true welterweight. He was the title holder for the 155 division. I think that would be a great fight. Yeah, I think it would be an awesome fight, to be honest with you, because they're both pretty much that size.
Sure. And I mean, that was supposed to fight at 155, and obviously, the height and reach is very similar. Would that have been concerning for you at all? Obviously, you're saying that, you're willing to keep fighting and, fight for the glory and stuff like that. But just purely from the perspective of McGregor's history when it comes to defending belts, if he was the interim champion, I guess that would sort of put a lot of question marks as far as your career and your title path trajectory and, what exactly you'd be fighting for. Yeah,
that would definitely kind of be a bump in the road. I wouldn't know where I would stand in, especially you have a guy that from 155 coming up, is he going to stay at the 170 division? Once he gets the titles, he's going to go back down. What the whole that would just kind of hold up the division. I think that would be that would definitely hold the division up. I wouldn't know where I would stand then. I mean, would I fight Conor McGregor? Heck yeah. Who wouldn't want to fight him? Who wouldn't fight that guy? Oh man.
That would be an amazing fight. Can you imagine that?
I think it would be killer. I think it would be a killer fight. He's a great striker. Anyway, we kind of have a similar style.
The stance, hands kind down, of a little bit.
His karate stance, right, man. He trains with karate fighter Gunnar Nelson. Is like a karate stylist, and he's very good everywhere. But I know they're good training partners, and he understands that distance management game. If you watched him fight, who was it? Who did he fight for the title and beat?
Eddie Alvarez?
No, for the 145. Excuse me.
Oh, Aldo.
Jose Aldo?
Yeah, Jose Aldo. That distance management that he displayed in that first round was money. I mean, he threw the feint, so that back and forth movement got Jose Aldo to really start reaching out for that hand, and he countered with that left hand, put him to sleep. It was awesome. Like I wasn't impressed that he knocked him on the first round. I was more impressed with his movement, his distancing between him and his opponent, and he actually got Jose Aldo to overextend. And Jose Aldo usually doesn't do that. He doesn't overextend. His shoulders were out over his hips to try and hit him with I think it was his right hand or his left hand, and he just stuck him with that left hand, man. And it was good. I was actually sitting cage side for that fight.
Wow. Well, before we let you go, Stephen, just quickly, some news that Nick Diaz might be coming back into the fold. I know for a long time, people thought a fight between you two would be absolutely blockbuster, especially because of your style and his style. I know you're looking at the title and you've got a big fight with Darren Till next, but if that is one of the sort of big blockbuster fights that gets thrown your way after you get done with Till, would you be interested in fighting Nick Diaz?
Nick? Yeah, man. I think that would be a cool fight. Man, those guys are legends, man. I don't care what anybody says. I respect those guys a lot. When you talk to them, who they are is who they are. They're not fake. That's just the way they are. And I think that's what's cool about them. People don't understand that, when you talk to those guys, when they act on TV, that's who they are, man. They've been fighters since they were kids. And Nick, man, he's fought some of the best. He's fought Georges St. Pierre. I mean, he's come from Strikeforce. Even before that, he's fought some of the best guys in the world. I think it'd be cool. To fight any one of the Diaz brothers.
All right, well, as we let you go, you mentioned before you don't want to predict knockouts, so we're not going to make you predict a knockout, but is there any kind of, I guess, outcome that stands out to you against Darren Till? And by the way, let's just throw a little bit of wood in the fire. He believes he's going to knock you out in the third round.
Yes, I've heard him say that. That is it's a lot of confidence right there, man. From my experience, predicting knockouts or trying to go out there and knock somebody out, and when it doesn't happen, it messes with you mentally or it wears you out trying. So my goal is to go out. When I visualize fights, I visualize. Of course, I have my things. I have opportunities out there that I see my opponent when to knock him out, or when to throw a kick, or when to throw a punch. And when I see Darren Till, there are plenty of opportunities there for a knockout. But when I visualize this fight, it's with my hand raised at the end. How I get there, you never know. But I visualize my hand being raised at the end of this fight, and to be in Liverpool, this fight's going to be nuts with the two fighters, me and him. Stylistically, I think it's going to be it makes out for a great fight. I'm excited for this one, kind of like I was for Masvidal, because this is another guy that I can stand up. Well, most of the guys I faced in the 170 division have been wrestlers, and here's another striker, man. I'm excited for this one.
Well, it's going to be big. He's taking on Darren Till May 28th in the Australia and New Zealand, Liverpool, England O2 Arena. Make sure to follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Wonderboy MMA. And as we wrap up, Stephen, I just want to ask you to give us a bit of a Fonzie A to make sure that those thumbs are working properly. Can you give that to us to the camera?
Dude, the thumbs are money right now. The thumbs are good to go. Look at it right here. Look at that. Look at that. They're good, man.
Dexterity.
Good. I'm still doing physical therapy, 3 times a week to making sure these bad boys don't get injured during camp. So as of right now, they're feeling stronger, man. They're feeling strong. They're feeling good. So everybody, tune in, man. May 27th, me, Darren Till, main event. It's going to be fireworks. So check it out.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. He declares a thumb war. Stephen, thank you so much for your time. It's great having you on the program.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, guys.